Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I have made my personal list this morning of things that I trust more than Hillary Clinton. Number 1, prayers for peace from Al Sharpton. Number 2, O.J. Simpson showing me his knife collection. Number 3, a rattlesnake with a pet me sign. And the number 1 thing that I trust more than Hillary Clinton, Mexican tap water. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Call in. Oh, there she is, lovely lady, and that's, of course, the wonderful young lady from Days Gone By, as Kate Smith sang so many great songs. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service to get rid of your garbage, 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Right now, let's go to the phones. And do we have a Pledge of Allegiance person? I hope. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there, Dal. How you doing, buddy?
Rotten.
I figured that. Go ahead with the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, and please go give a kiss on the cheek to your lovely bride and tell her I said good morning. Would you please?
I'll do it right now.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for the call. Oh, my goodness sakes. Also want to remind you about Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn, right there on Alfresco Road, owned by Doug Martin. And Doug can rebuild starters, alternators, generators, anything from lawnmowers to locomotives. Shoot, shoot. There he goes, and sells brand new, too. Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Right now, it's time for the weather. And Cheney Flooring and Home Design is our weather sponsor. Man, these are good folks. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home. And Kyle and Whitney, wonderful people, and they can help you. Newly refurbished furniture, my goodness, the list goes on and on. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, and the number to call, 678-6945. And right now, here's the weather.
Here is your weather forecast for the 4th day of August. Mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be nice, slightly breezy. Winds out of the south right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Winds remaining about steady out of the southwest, 15 miles an hour. High of 81 with an overnight low of 52. As we move on through the work week on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. High of 85. Pretty much the same for Friday. Saturday, cooling off to mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Very well done. Thank you very much. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-6945. And if you're over there on Oakley Avenue, look for the blue door. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness sakes, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget on Thursdays, Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Commission Company. Yep, Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy. Number to call the office for consignments or sale information, 678-9411. The sale that works for you every Thursday at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Don't you miss it. We got a lot of things to talk about today. And coming up on the program, we're going to have Frosty Woldridge at 9:06. And then we've got a gentleman we've been trying to get on our program for a long time, Matt Barber. And Matt is going to simply tell us what's going on with the problem the Supreme Court started with the okaying of gay marriage. And this rock is rolling downhill. It's going to affect schools. It's going to affect churches. It's going to affect everybody. And then at 10:06 this morning, don't forget Dr. History. And then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to the Idaho Cattle Association. And that, of course, is Wyatt Prescott. Don't forget your friends with SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. The first month is free, plus free installation. Love that four-letter word. No contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. You'd better call and get on the program right now. Idaho's number one choice for wireless internet, SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. Oh, and by the way, too, I have been blessed to know these folks over the years. They do such a wonderful job taking my old rumply crumplies and turning them into brand new clothing. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and they do a wonderful job. Dry cleaning prolongs the life of a garment, and oh, they do a great job. All you have to do is just stop in today, see Kevin and Cindy and the whole crew at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Well, we must fight. We have to fight. And when I say the word fight this morning, I'm not going to mince any words. We either have to verbally get involved or, in the true sense of the word, against the Obama energy plan. The Obama energy plan will financially cripple all of us here in America. He has vowed that he would transform America. He's going to do it. He has vowed that we would be seeing extreme prices at the pump. He's going to do that again. He has vowed that electricity rates would skyrocket. Those are his words, not mine. That is going to happen. And they are about ready to announce steeper than expected cuts in carbon pollution from power plants and really step up the push to emphasize climate change and push green energy, and we pay for it. We are really going to pay for it. Obama and the EPA are just plain evil and criminal. Those are the words I'm going to use. Those are the words I'm going to stay behind. I will not mince my words on this. I couldn't care less about the Democrats in this area or any area. I couldn't care less about the liberals. I'll talk about them in just a few moments. Democrats support this idiocy. And by the Democrats' support of this kind of an energy program, that should steer you away from any person at the polling places with a D next to their name. This is complete lunacy. They are not dumb. I will not say they are dumb. They are evil in their support of trying to eliminate growth and progress in this great country of America. And yesterday, I about fell out of my old geezer chair when I heard White House spokesman Josh Earnest say something that was so absolutely ridiculous, and he expects the American public to buy into it. He said that by us, the United States, going green and maybe sacrificing a little to go green, it will influence our enemies to do the same. Are you absolutely insane? China's not going to be influenced at all by us going to green energy. They're going to see a green light to take over, and that's the number one spot for supremacy of the world. And to say that it will influence our enemies to go green, that's the philosophy of an administration that this country should have never put in power in the first place. Calls are welcome. 436. Come on, talk to me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, Ramsey's. How are you this morning? They open the doors at 7:30. I almost said 4:30, and that's a wee bit early for those people to open the doors. 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday, and they've got all of your air filters for your air conditioners, and pretty soon we're going to be saying air filters for the furnaces. It's right around the corner. And they've got all your electrical needs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Callers, stay on the line. Don't go away. 30 seconds. I'll be right with you. Stand by. Also want to say thank you very much to Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And when I say everything, I'm talking fishing equipment. If you want to just take a couple of days in the dog days of summer, August, to go fishing, licenses, they've got all your working gear, they got your footwear. These are local people that are serving you at 910 South Oneida in Rupert, Valleywide Home and Ranch. And I mean this, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide. Caller, good morning. How are you?
I'm rotten still.
Okay, good, Dal. Go ahead.
What is your opinion on the latest presidential candidate on the Democratic side?
Well, are you referring to which one in particular?
Mr. Biden.
I think that they're doing this out of necessity, Dal. I think they know that there's going to be a full court press for the illegalities of Hillary Clinton. I think there's going to be a lot more come up. I think that these emails are incriminating. I think that the money is incriminating. I think the scandals with the Clinton is going to catch up with them. I honestly feel in my heart of hearts, by maybe Thanksgiving, we're going to see Hillary out of the race because of the illegalities that she's been involved in.
Yeah.
Are you there?
I had a question for you.
Okay.
How did our representatives vote yesterday on the Planned Parenthood?
You know, Deanne, would you pull that up on the computer and find out how our state senators voted on Planned Parenthood yesterday? Would you pull that up for me, please? I'll have that in just a few minutes. That's one thing I didn't get off the wire this morning, and Dal, I appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. You have a good day, sir. Thank you. That is a nice couple right there. I really appreciate them, and they're always very supportive of our Lunch Bunch, and we thank them for that. Oh, and by the way, Lunch Bunch for the month of August is going to be on the 20th. Put that on your calendar, the 20th, Thursday the 20th. And we also want to thank Walmart, Smith's Food King, Handsome Mortuary for all their support for our Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. It is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we certainly hope that you'll be out in full force for this month of August. Oh, my goodness, Thomas and Terry. And we have a lot of gift cards and a lot of door prizes to give away. And the food is phenomenal. You're going to love it. Look at that menu, like I said yesterday, and you go, wow, and it's delicious. And when you're done eating, you go, wow, I can't wait to go back to Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley, and their new location at 291 Pole Line Road at Twin Falls. Don't forget, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, it's Denny's Restaurant. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. Did you hear, and while we're talking about this, thanks to Dal just a moment ago, that the Senate blocked the GOP bill to halt Planned Parenthood funds. The Democrats got in the way of common sense, as they normally do. And I was so outraged this morning when I picked up the newspaper and read what Harry Reid had said about Planned Parenthood and about the Republicans and about conservatives that are concerned about Planned Parenthood and the evil that Planned Parenthood is providing with abortions to like 13-year-old girls without notifying the parents, and these absolutely incriminating and vile, filthy videos talking about selling body parts. And here's what Democrat Harry Reid said. It's our obligation to protect our wives, our sisters, our daughters, our granddaughters from the GOP's absurd policies. The Republican Party has lost its moral compass. Oh, my golly. How dare this absolutely devilish and satanic Democrat, Harry Reid, accuse the Republican Party of losing its moral compass when it's the Democrats that are in favor of funding Planned Parenthood with the sale of human body parts and protecting these doctors and providing those abortions to little kids? This is insanity. And we all should be outraged. You know, like yesterday when Kerry Kupek was on the phone, and we all should be outraged. We should be calling Cripple, Risch, Simpson. I don't care who you call, and just let them know how outraged you are as to how sleazy, underline that word, sleazy, American politics is today. And then for Harry Reid to say something like the Republican Party has lost its moral compass. No, they haven't lost it. They're finally using it. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Boy, that really stirred the cream in my coffee, I'll tell you that. Hey, don't forget some of the great sponsors and merchants of our Cassia County Fair coming up on August 17th through the 22nd. Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and their new location on Kimberly Road by Red Cap Corner. You better believe it, they'll get you wet, and they've got great big per tower rebates from Zematic and huge discounts from Butte Irrigation for the fall. The best time to buy your new Zematic pivots at Butte Irrigation. And don't forget Perkins and the Best Western Inn, 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh, skip the drive-thrus. Go to Perkins. Great plates. I mean, fresh chicken salad, big BLT with fries, jumbo shrimp. Oh, and the famous buttermilk pancake breakfast. All of this and more. Great eating at Perkins and the Best Western Inn in Burley. And last but not least, our friends that have been on this air for many, many months, Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, 678-9204 is the number. And Streamline Precision will build storage containers and conveyors for your factory or warehouse that will save space and increase your storage capacity. You get a hold of them today at 678-9204 or 431-7314. Streamline Precision. Really good folks. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's take a look here. Deanne just handed me this. All the Republican representatives from Idaho voted yay to... let me see here, Deanne. What was this yay vote for? I got to make sure I understand here how this was worded. Did they vote yes to repeal the funds from Planned Parenthood? Let's look at the question, the way it was asked on this. A bill to prohibit federal funding of Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Yay. Yes. The two, Risch and Cripple, voted yes to repeal the funding, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, and I'm so glad and so proud that they did. But there were some Republicans that did not, and let's just take a look at some of those. I want to see what the nays are. Some Republicans I'm trying to find on my list here real quick, and as I'm trying to hurry, it's not working. I'll have to do that during the news break. But there's no reason and absolutely no common sense for anyone to want to pay taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood after the stories, after the videos. The videos didn't lie. The videos did not create the verbiage out of the doctor's mouth. The videos showed clearly the very heinous acts of Planned Parenthood, and also discussed in its entirety yesterday what we were talking about, a 13-year-old girl. A 13-year-old girl going in for an abortion and not any notification to her parents. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Is it all right to talk about something else?
Well, I want to stay on track here. What is the subject you want to talk about quickly?
I want to talk about me.
Well,
that's exactly, and I want everybody else out there to listen to it, because when your neighbor loses your job, that's too bad. I'm okay. I'm okay. That's me. Okay? It's like this terrible, terrible emissions bill that the president's put out there now. It's shut down all these coal-fired plants.
Yes.
People say, well, it doesn't affect me.
Oh, yes, it does.
Well,
yeah.
What's wrong with that? Making the world a better place. It is a better place because eventually we're going to be using them words just like you said. We'll be sitting around the campfire cooking with dung.
You know, and you didn't change the subject, because I talked about that earlier when I started the program off about the energy program, so you're fine, Keith. I will say this program will damn, and I use that word in the proper sense, I will damn and combat and fight and absolutely try to diminish anything Obama tries to do with these carbon emission cuts. I will support anything as far as lawsuits against this administration. I will absolutely say anything and everything I can to prove that the administration, are liars. We have been in a 15 to 17 year cooling trend with global temperatures. They are using climate change only as a source of controlling the people and turning this United States into a third world country. And if anybody wants to dispute that, pick up the phone and call me. I've got the facts, you don't. Good morning. What have you got to say to that, Keith?
Well, you're absolutely right. And you know, this morning I sat there watching this guy with his pen in his hand saying he's going to spend the highway bill for another 3 months. Why is he going to do that? Because of parenthood. Now, what are these people going to do? Are these people that were thinking about hiring somebody or something? They're not going to do anything. They're going to sit on their hands and wait to see what happens.
My animosity towards politicians right now, Keith, is to the point where the verbiage out of my mouth is almost bordering on something the FCC would not permit. I am so disgusted with the low-life activity of what's going on in the Senate and the House, and especially in the Oval Office. I just would like to see a completely clean sweep. I'm appalled at how low leadership is in this nation today.
Yeah, to try to stop selling baby parts and everything else, this guy puts a 3-month moratorium on signing the highway bill, and he's probably not going to sign it until everybody gives in.
I'll tell you what.
It's going to come out with egg on their face.
Keith, I'll tell you what, and please, I'm not trying to say anything that would embarrass you or me, because we're both getting a little gray in the head and long in the tooth. But, you know, for the elderly in this country, the senior citizens that have put away money all their life for retirement, this carbon emissions push by the Obama administration is going to absolutely take the money out of our savings accounts. It's absolutely going to take away from our retirement value, and we're going to be paying through the nose just to keep warm in the wintertime because of the idiocy of these Democrats.
And you won't have the money to buy gas for your car either, because his wish of $8-9 a gallon will probably come true.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, again, I appreciate your call as always. God bless you, and see you at Lunch Bunch on the 20th. Thank you.
Goodbye.
No way. We're taking the gloves off when it comes to the Obama administration. I have no use, none, for this administration. And I might as well just come out and say it. I have no use for any Democrat. Did you happen to catch, I know I'm late on what I've got to get done right now, but did you happen to catch the trying to get an interview with Dick Durbin from Illinois? They were trying to find out how he stood on the Cates Law and how he would vote, and this man acted like all of a sudden somebody had shown him an open door to daylight. He had not a clue what Cates Law was. I'll try to study it. He stumbled and muttered, I'll try to study it, and I'll try to do the best thing. He didn't have a clue, but this is a Democrat that absolutely needs to be replaced. These are the people that are evil back in our Congress and our Senate. Excuse me for coughing. I want to say thank you to a wonderful lady, and that is Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. I know she's listening right now, and Christine, boy, I'm the world's worst for trying to round me up and get me over there for an appointment. I got to get back over there. And Mount Harrison Audiology is a wonderful place and name and number to remember if you're having problems with your hearing. Many people do. Many people do. Maybe it's based on the job. Maybe it's based on something that happened when you were a youngster. Maybe it's happened here recently. But I'll tell you something. You should absolutely guard your hearing, protect it, and if it's being diminished, there are ways to enhance it. Please get a hold of her today. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. You call today. You'll be so thankful you did. Mount Harrison Audiology. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I should explain something here. I don't have to, but I will. It was my choice. I was so appalled at the low quality that we were receiving on the Ag Minute at 8:30 in the morning with Raul Pena, who could not read, could not speak, could not say proper words, that I canceled the report. And I am going to be, in the next couple of weeks, putting forth, we've got a super new idea that's going to come in at 8:30 to amplify what's going on in agriculture. And I want to say thank you to Christine Pickup with Mount Harrison Audiology for her patience. And we'll look forward to having her stay on the air with the new idea that we're going to be having on the air in the next little while. And also, somebody else that deserves a little bit of thank you, if you will, is Wheels over at the station. He had to try to put that thing together and clean it up and everything, and so I just thank you, Wheels, for the extra effort. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, my friend.
Doing pretty good. You know, as things continue to get worse in this country and the Muslim influence becomes greater, you're going to hear that the only thing to straighten out this country is Sharia law. And I bet that is really going to come over big for some people in this country.
You know, Tony, it's really scary to think what you just said is absolutely coming to fruition. I watched this morning in horror with my wife early this morning interviews that were taken by a man, a freelance journalist, and he went to certain colleges and universities in California, and he asked students of their thoughts about Muslims and Sharia law and about terrorist activities. And our colleges and universities are teaching these kids that we, America, is the bad guy, and all these other people are the good guys. It's no wonder we've got an open door policy for terrorists coming in, is because of the stupidity, the arrogance, and the absolute un-American activities that are being taught on college campuses.
Well, I watched part of Christie's announcement yesterday, and the only thing he was talking about is military strength. They totally avoided the immigration problem.
Yeah.
And the immigration problem is what's going to bring these cities down.
Yeah. Please do not think less of me for saying this, Tony, but I looked at that GOP debate last night, and they looked like a bunch of school kids that were coming into class, and it looked like a virtual rehearsal for a Christmas pageant, and they were all going to stand up and sing, and the only person, and quite frankly, I admire him for not showing up for it, was Donald Trump. I thought it was an exercise in futility, and those guys, in my thoughts, they made fools out of themselves.
Well, Donald Trump is the second coming of Teddy Roosevelt.
I hope you're right.
Carry a big stick and let's get the job done.
I hope you're right. Thank you so much, Tony. Say hello to Mary. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. It was really comical to me, honestly, to watch Cruz and to watch Walker and to watch Jeb Bush, and I don't want Jeb to even see the Oval Office, and Christie and the rest of them. They all walked in and they shook hands like they were going to go up on the podiums and stand there and sing Christmas carols, and it was the same old practiced, rehearsed speech. Everything was just like it was out of the book. Everything was like they studied. What a waste of time. I canceled everything for Thursday night. I am not going anywhere. I am not taking any calls. Don't bother calling me on Thursday night. I won't take the call. I'm telling you straight up. I'm going to be watching that GOP debate because it's not so much Donald Trump. It's not so much that I'm advocating for him to really run roughshod over the Republicans in kind of a gotcha moment. It's because he's kind of a maverick. He's breaking away from the political sameness, and he's showing these guys what kind of howdy-doodies they really are. They're puppets on a string. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb. This environment in Washington D.C. When Obama was pressing for this Pacific Partnership Agreement, which had a lot of different, categories to it. Understanding it wasn't necessarily easy, and every time I understood a little more, I'd call back there and talk to Cripple and Risch about it. And I never did get I asked for a letter. I gave them my address, and I never got a letter from Cripple at all. I got two terrible, vague letters from Risch. I called back and I says, if this is what you think that's going to tide me over, I says, not everybody is uninformed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm no genius, but I understood basically, and he just tried to throw something at me. And I was terribly offended by my own senators who don't have any problem getting reelected. And like you were talking about Durbin, and I'll look into it. Well, these poor, sorry people have been looking into stuff for 30 years.
Yep.
Or however long they've been there. It's just, I do not know, Zeb. Remember when McConnell was worried about getting reelected, and then he managed to get elected, and he was making all these promises the night he got reelected. I watched it, and he hasn't done a thing.
Mitch McConnell has been absolutely the biggest joke that's not funny in the Republican Party. I was against him taking over the helm of leadership. I'm so opposed to him. And I'll give you another name I'd like to see thrown out of there on his necktie, and that is John Boehner. I'm fed up with the constituency. I'm fed up with the good old boy network. I'm fed up with it. You are too. And when we hear things like Harry Reid coming out and condemning the Republicans for a low or no moral compass when it's the Democrats that are advocating funding for Planned Parenthood and advocating abortions, advocating the sale of baby parts, and advocating that 13-year-old girls can go in there and have an abortion without their mom and dad knowing it, who has lost their moral compass?
I tell you what, this whole country is just slipping away. A local business owner the other night, was out in the street because there was an event. And you know him. And he said to me, he walked up to me, and we were talking about politics because he knows that's on my mind a lot. And he walked up and he said, we're screwed. But that isn't the word he used. And the thing of it is he's not the kind of person that says that type of word, but he did it for dramatic effect to let me know that's how he was so afraid and worried. You just say to yourself, can we continue to do this and ever recover? And people are just becoming, so worried. It's just,
well, Randy, it boils down to what I said in the opening remarks of this program, and I'm going to stand behind these. If somebody's offended, I really couldn't give the sweat off my brow for that. We must be fighting right now, verbally or in the true sense of the word. We need to be soldiers against the absolute abominations that are going on against our Constitution, against our moral fiber in our country, and against what's happening economically, what they're doing as far as supporting Planned Parenthood. My goodness, the heinous activities. We've got to clean up our act. And I'm going to come right out and say it. And if you're offended by this out in Radio Land, again, I don't care. We've got to get back to the basics of God in our life, or we're going to go right down the drain.
Well, it's just like I've said, I don't know how the nature plays a part in our lives, but I've been reading in the Capitol Press about this drought in the West, and you say to yourself, is there a punishment from God, or does it work that way? I don't know. But California is so heinously decadent that if you say to yourself, will you people ever realize what you're doing to your very selves?
I've got a story coming up, and I've been saving it until I get Frosty Woldridge on the air at 9:06. But you do not want to miss the latest happenings of what's going on in California. Randy, I got to run and do a commercial. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hey, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, these are good people. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the skid steers, new and used. Oh, they've got the equipment for you to get the job done right. And 3 locations, too. Barry Equipment and Rental with Eli and Nick. Everybody, they're really service-oriented people ready to take care of you at Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. They can help you. You stop in, and if you want to check out those Walker lawnmowers for the rest of the summer's mowing, ooh, the cream of the crop. You stop into Barry Equipment and Rental today. Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Really, really nice people. Also, talking about nice folks, we have our weather forecast coming up. And the weather is, and I'll take some more calls right after that. Please give me a call. Is brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. We're going to hopefully get her on the air with us on Thursday, Nicole and the crew. Man, it is time to think about sweatshirts for the fall, and you can customize them with your name or your business logo or whatever, and they've got the best of sweatshirts from Carhartt. I love Carhartt sweatshirts. Bernie, Nike. Boy, I'm embarrassed I said that. Nike! Thank you, Zeb. Gildan, Hanes, you name it, they've got all the top name. Nikki. I'm never going to live that down. All the top name sweatshirts, and they can put your business logo on. Oh, she does a nice job over at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop over on the square and see her today. And check out the Nikki sweatshirts. Oh, they love that. Nike. Thank you, Zeb. Here's the weather. Hello.
Your weather forecast for the 4th day of August. Mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be nice, slightly breezy. Winds out of the south. We're at around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Winds remaining about steady out of the southwest, 15 miles an hour. High of 81 with an overnight low of 52. As we move on through the work week on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. High of 85. Pretty much the same for Friday. Saturday, cooling off to mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And like I said, they have got it all for you and your business right there at Mad River Laser. They are so artistic in everything they do, and it's first class. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. How about a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to get one other little story in because I guess maybe I'm ready to dig up some dirt today, and I'm in a mood where I really don't care if someone is offended. I'm going to come right out and say it, that I think that Hillary Clinton is absolutely the lowest of the lowlifes, and I'm just use the words that I feel that she represents. I think she's a female Satan, and I think she's a power-hungry feminist. Okay, the words are out there. That, to me, is my description of Hillary Clinton. A female Satan, a lowlife when it comes to honesty and truth, and a very power-hungry feminist. She has defended Planned Parenthood. She has blamed Republicans for a smear campaign. What is a smear campaign? You know what? When you show and prove that somebody is doing a heinous act and trying to sell baby parts and doing it over lunch with red wine and a salad, and then allowing 13-year-olds to get abortions without their parents' consent, who is conducting a smear campaign? And this woman, Hillary Clinton, never in her diatribe yesterday against the Republicans and against conservatives, never mentioned any of the bad acts of Planned Parenthood. Oh, no. She was very careful in her words. And I will say this, America cannot put this vile, absolutely a person that's devoid of any honesty whatsoever. This woman, Hillary Clinton, is evil. And absolutely cannot see the interior of the Oval Office as president. Now, it's out there. For all of you that are running to take notes and condemning me, you go right ahead. Write it down. Keep it. Let's see. The date today is Tuesday, August 4th. Make sure you get the right time. It is 8:48, and write it down because I'll stand behind it. She is nothing more than an evil, power-hungry feminist. That is it, bottom line. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That'll be interesting to see how long some of the feminists in the Democratic Party locally jump on that. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. We're headed up by Nick Greenwell, physical therapist in charge of all the activities and all the great physical therapists that work there. Man, they are good. Now, they can help anybody with the exercises and the sports medicine and the hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill and everything. Help you get back to being you. All you have to do is call for an appointment today at 678-1191. Let me repeat that number, 678-1191. Make an appointment today at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Really good folks. I'm surprised somebody hasn't called. My goodness sakes, give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, and you're not going to hear happy birthday to you from me over this one, today is Barack Hussein Obama's birthday. He's 54. Whoopee! Okay. Let's see. California did it again. California absolutely did it again. We're going to be talking about this with Frosty. But this is insanity just getting bigger and bigger in this United States of America. 2 illegal aliens. Let's call them what they are. 2 illegal aliens have been appointed to a city council in Huntington Park, California. 2 illegal aliens. According to this press release, their appointments mark and these are their words, not mine, mark a bold and controversial step by the small southeast Los Angeles County city to boost the participation of what they call immigrants in city government. What? These people are illegal aliens. These people broke the law and snuck across the border, and they are illegal aliens. These people have not got any right to be sitting on a city commission and helping form and formulate city laws, rules, and regulations because they are illegal aliens. What is going on in this country? This is nuts. And in the state of California, I did not know this, the state of California law does not prohibit people who are in the country illegally from serving as appointed commissioners. Why not? Please, you've got to call me and tell me that we're not going to heck in a handbasket. This is completely nuts. Now, this inclusion of illegal aliens is also occurring at the state level. California this year began issuing driver's licenses, as you know, to people without legal status. And this summer, the California legislature passed a measure that provides health care to many immigrants who are in the country illegally, and we pay. You got to sit down and just go breathe in, breathe out, wax on, wax off, and sit there and wonder, wait a minute, if they're here illegally and now they're county commissioners and they, in the increasing numbers, can take control of a city, a county, a state, any municipality, or maybe even make it bigger into the national scene, and they're here illegally. Something is wrong with this picture. And then they are here, and California passed a measure that says, well, now listen, Mr. Taxpayer and Mrs. Taxpayer, we don't care if they're here illegally. You are going to pay for their health insurance. This is nuts. Oh. Help me, please. Calm me down. Call me. I'll do a commercial while I'm waiting, please. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, we are blessed to have them, all 7 of them, on our program as our major sponsor. And you talk about all the tires you need for your driving on your cars, your light trucks, SUVs, whatever. They got all your tires for all your driving need. Like for your light trucks, the Open Country HT all-season tires, superior handling. And, of course, along with all the tires, they've got all the front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, and the best, underline that, the best brake service. Yes, they do, with professionally trained technicians at all 7 locations. Let's go to Lane and Rupert. Yep, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. You better believe it, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I mean, when you read into this story, and thanks to Deanne for getting this information for me this morning, and I just can't imagine why we have lost respect, why we have allowed the losing of respect of our Constitution and our United States laws. Now, the executive director of We the People Rising made this statement about what's going on in California. She said, to appoint commission seats to individuals who are breaking federal laws demonstrates the lack of respect for U.S. law. It's unbelievable that somebody that's here illegally, somebody that came across our border in the dark of night, or in this case, nowadays, the broad daylight, who's going to stop them? And they are appointed as county commissioners, and they will go on possibly to further their political career. And they're illegal aliens here in the United States of America. And experts say that this move reflects a growing effort in heavily Latino cities to push for more inclusion of people without legal status to serve in public life. Unbelievable. And think of all the problems that it will cause. I'm surprised you didn't speak out on this. I really am. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I appreciate your call. Coming up this next hour, again, I want to remind you that we are going to be talking to one of my dear, dear friends, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. And then we're going to be talking to Matt Barber, and Matt is the editor-in-chief of barbedwire.com, and very outspoken about how absolutely negative it's going to be on churches and schools with Christian backgrounds to survive after the Supreme Court decision to allow gay marriage. And we're looking forward to that conversation with him coming up this next hour, so you stay tuned. And always your comments are welcome and appreciated. What else have I got here this morning? There's some other little note I had on my public service file, and I know what it is. Tomorrow night, instead of the team roping over at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, because the Jerome Fair and Rodeo is going on, Dave Zanino, they're going to have that team roping up at Cary. They're going to move north, and they're going to go up to Cary and have a team roping up at Cary's Fairgrounds tomorrow evening on Wednesday. So head on up there. Should be a dandy good time. We're going to take a little break and go to the news from CBS, and then we'll be back in about 6 minutes. Don't you go away. Oh my, we got a lot to do. Here we go, hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Thank you very much, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with some of our great advertisers, Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley White Home and Ranch. And our dear friends with Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and I implore you to really work with the best. Locally owned and operated, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage. Wave goodbye to it once a week when they come by right on time to get rid of your garbage. 734-6969. The number to call, always at your disposal, Western Waste Services. By the way, we also want to acknowledge Ted's Diesel Electric is moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Doug Martin and his crew, I'll tell you what, moving to a new location to better serve you. Rebuilding starters, alternators, generators, also selling brand new. Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Really good folks. Oh, and when you talk about good folks, we'll just tell you every morning when we start this program, we go right to our weather forecast, and that, of course, is sponsored by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. You better believe it. All the newly refurbished furniture, carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home, it's available through our friends at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Excuse me, got a little frog in my throat. Hay fever time is back upon us. Don't forget to our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, his staff, his family, serving you. They are there when you need them. And they're just a phone call away, 436-5636. And they always serve you and your family with upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I know these folks, and they are so nice, so courteous, and so helpful. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call again, 436-5636. On Tuesday mornings, it's a pleasure for me to welcome to the microphone a man that has been in the radio and media for a long time, great author, and absolutely my good friend, and I mean that. Frosty Woldridge, good morning. How are you?
sir. He has not called in.
He has not called in yet?
No,
Oh.
I haven't gotten a call.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you his number real quick. Are you ready for this? Give him a call at 303-666-6186. Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Jog his memory a little bit. While I'm waiting for Frosty to give me that call, I'm surprised he never, ever forgets, and so something must have come up at the last minute. We'll also tell you a little bit about the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. It is in full swing this morning. Holy cow. At about 8:30 this morning, they started with the Big Dairy Show, and they've got the Goat Show today, and they got the Rabbit Show and the Poultry Show, and tonight, of course, the first performance of the PRCA Rodeo, and tomorrow morning on Wednesday they're going to have the great big 4-H and FFA beef show in the Big Show Arena. All of this and much, much more going on at the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo all this week at the Jerome County Fairgrounds in Jerome. You be there. Going to be a fun fair activity in Jerome. Let's again check over with Wheels and see if we have Frosty on the air. Is he there, Wheels?
No, sir. It just goes straight to his voicemail.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He never forgets. He's like an elephant back there in Colorado.
I did leave him a voicemail, though.
Oh, good for you. Appreciate that. And calls are now open and welcome as we sit here with nothing to do, nothing to say. Oh, my. Woe is me. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I don't like the picture that is being painted for those of us that believe in the Constitution, those of us that believe in the laws and how they should be maintained, those of us that are against certain things that are going on in this country, because now there are the left bigots and hate mongers that want to paint us into a corner and say that we are the bigots and hate mongers if we don't accept what is being put upon us. I saw an article in the paper this morning from a white supremacist group that is against the what's happening in this country with immigration and also the refugees, etc. And I want to be really careful and watch out, everybody, that you're not defined by being a part of, which we are not or ever will be, a white supremacist group. So read that article if you get a chance, and you'll see how my concerns are. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I have a gripe, a complaint, or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Well, lady, how can we tell what it is if you don't know what it is?
I think it's all of the above.
All right.
I'm not really sure who to blame. If we blame our government or the Obamacare, if we blame the school system. But the problem that I have is our youth are given condoms in school. They're taught sex education of things that are so perverted and so just horrific. I mean, they're taught that they can have consensual sex with same-sex people, and the perversion that they're starting to teach as youth, and yet they can't make the choice in school as to whether or not to have a candy bar in the vending machine. And yet they're given all these other things and responsibilities at such a young age. I'm thinking, what is the matter with us?
Well, now, there is an answer to your dilemma. There is a simple 5-letter word that you can pick up and hold and read and cherish and adhere to and absolutely live your life by, and it's called the Bible.
Exactly, but you can't teach that in school.
I am. I don't care where I go, lady. I am not going to pick up No, just a minute. Please hear me out. I am never going to abide by man's word when it comes to the trouncing and defacing and diminishing of God's word. We've got to stand up pretty doggone soon for what is right in this country and what is wrong. And it's laid out for us, not only in the Ten Commandments, but all through the Bible as to how we should lead our lives. We've got away from that. We've got away from that. And now when a 13-year-old girl can go to Planned Parenthood and they will not contact the parents and they'll perform an abortion, this country is sick.
Exactly. And yet, that same 13-year-old in school cannot choose to buy a candy bar and a vending machine.
That's right.
Because we've dictated that that's not healthy for them. How is this other side healthy?
Well, now let me throw this at you, being that you are of the fairer sex as a lady. How could any woman, I'm just going to stick with the ladies in the audience right now, how could any woman want to vote for, and I said it last hour, I'll say it again, a female Satan and a power-hungry feminist like Hillary that defends what Planned Parenthood is doing?
I don't know of any woman in her right mind that would. And that's where I put the caveat, in the right mind. Because I just cannot imagine that any nurturing, honest woman would ever vote for someone like that.
You know, you mentioned just a moment ago, and I appreciate the way you made a wide range of complaints all tied into one sentence. You were talking about school lunch programs and how they can't buy this and they can't do that. The school lunch program is yet another very black mark against the Obama administration, and especially Michelle Obama, because now, as we speak, there are so many school systems and districts across the United States that are going to rebel this next school year because the kids are hungry. They're not getting their nutrition. They're not eating. They're throwing and wasting most all of the food, 85 to 90% of it in the trash can, and this has got to change. This Obama administration has done so much to injure the moral compass of America and the value of America.
Exactly. Absolutely. I agree.
And, you know, honestly, I wish you, and I know who I'm speaking to, and I don't want to mention your name if you don't want me to, but I wish you and others would just absolutely stand up and form coalitions of power and beat your hand on the desk and say, no, it's over. It's done. We don't want Planned Parenthood. We don't want this heinous act of abortions for 13-year-olds without mom and dad knowing about it. We don't want the sale of baby parts. We don't want an energy program that's going to absolutely put us in the dark, and I mean this, dark ages. We've got to stand up and fight back, or it's going to be too late.
Well, and that concerns me that we may be so close to that point already, and that we know he is going to use, he being Mr. Obama, is going to use other distractions out there. There's going to be something else that will distract us, so that we aren't paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes, and he's going to push more and more of his agenda of destroying America before he leaves office, if he ever leaves office. Well,
there again, we're talking vagaries and speculation, and as of my little calendar of numbers, we have 534 days left of this administration, but you said it very correctly and succinctly. He's not really going to be gone when he's gone, because his policies are going to linger like a cancerous cell for a long time.
Yes, they are. It's going to take a long time to correct the stuff that he has done.
Do you know any Democrats?
You know, I'm not sure if I do. I think I do, but I'm not sure.
All right. Have you confronted them? Have you gone up to them and looked them in the eye and very nicely, with a smooth, very kind of a saving voice, said, "How can you be so dang dumb?"
I'm not sure right now. Too many of them are many. That's a Democrat.
All right. Hey, listen, God bless you, and thank you for your call.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much. Oh, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you. Come on, give me a call. We'll talk about Hillary honestly. Honestly, come on. How can anyone in their right mind vote for that woman? I'd have to have somebody, and I've encouraged the Democratic Party locally. They don't have the backbone or the spine. They will not call in. They will never call me. I've even called them in private conversations and said, would you come on the air and discuss why and how you can defend your party platform? Click! Down goes the phone. And now with Hillary defending Planned Parenthood and deflecting the heinous acts of Planned Parenthood and blaming others, this woman absolutely, I know it sounds like it's pick on Hillary day, and it is. I don't like her. I can't respect her. I do not want her anywhere close to the Oval Office. By the way, we want to say thank you to some of our Cassia County merchants, and they're supporting the Cassia County Fair, August 17th through the 22nd, and they include the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. These are really nice people over at 230 West 7th Street in Burley, and they say, hey, invite your friends and neighbors to come to the fair, but don't invite them to your house. You don't want to share your bathroom. They can get a room at our place. That's right, the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. Yes, sir, the number to call, 677-5000. Call today and use your own bathroom. Also, don't forget Easy Money Auto RV and Repair at 200 Overland in Burley. They have a great selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, RVs, motorcycles. I saw some of them sitting out there the other day, and they would love the opportunity to get you into your new used car today at Easy Money Auto RV and Repair, 200 Overland in Burley. And last but not least, Kelly's Bearings. And that's Kelly Bearing Supply at 1407 East Main in Burley. Don't let your machine sit there while you're waiting for a part to come in. Don't forget at Kelly's, they got all the bearings, chains, brackets. You'll know where you are when you get your bearings at Kelly's. I like that. Zach and Brett, the whole crew, they're over there to help you. And don't forget, they are all supportive of the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo for 2015. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb Frosty right here, sir.
Oh, I thought you left us.
I'm right here.
Okay, buddy. Hey, real quick, because we're short on time, I want to get right into this, Frosty. Thank you for calling in. I've got to get into this story in California. I know you're probably very aware of it. Huntington Park, California, has just put 2 illegal aliens on their county commission. What are your thoughts about this? This is ridiculous what's happening in California.
Well, not only is it ridiculous, it's beyond the theater of the absurd. And you have to understand that California has had a bunch of fruits and nuts out there metaphorically on so many different levels for the last 20 years that I actually featured California as our first failed state in my book, America on the Brink, the next out of 100 million Americans. And what you're seeing is that so many illegal aliens, somewhere between 3 and 4 million, now inhabit California, that the rule of law no longer applies, and they're so brazen that they literally are taking over entire cities. I think there's Malpo in California is literally flying the Mexican flag everywhere in that one particular city. But again, Los Angeles, there's like 7 television programs there in Los Angeles, right up through into San Francisco, and that the schools are now being taken over by Spanish language. So Spanish language is now becoming the dominant factor. In fact, there are more Mexicans and Mexican Americans in California right now than there are European Americans there. And so it stands to reason that they will continue to have more and more of them seek office and break the law, and then continue to bring in more of their own. And that's exactly what's happening in California.
You know, Frosty, simply put, this is so insane, and it's so much against the law that I reported already this morning. One of the women that's an executive director of We the People Rising said to appoint a commission seat to individuals who are breaking federal laws demonstrates that lack of respect for United States law. Why is this happening? I don't understand why somebody can't say, whoa, they can't be on that commission. They're illegal aliens, and throw them out. Why is this being allowed to happen?
Essentially because not enough Americans care, not enough Americans are standing up and speaking out, and certainly none of your congressional... I just was on the phone, and the reason I'm late this morning, it was on the phone with Ed Perlmutter staff here. He's my House of Representatives, and he wrote me a letter, and he said, well, our immigration system is broken, and so we've got to find a way to have comprehensive immigration reform. And what he's saying is that he will not enforce the law. He has not enforced the law for the last 10 years, and that's what I was telling his aide. And so what's the point? We have 435 congressional House members who are not doing anything to enforce the American Constitution, our laws, and the immigration laws. And we have a president who is actually completely breaking all of those because he's not taking care of his oath of office. Obama has been throwing middle Americans under the bus and African Americans under the bus for the last almost 7 years now. And you're right. I heard what you said. His legacy is going to live on as we continue to import all of these Syrian Muslim refugees, the Mexican refugees coming out of Mexico and Central and South America. And it's literally creating a new kind of lawlessness, that's legal lawlessness, if you will, or illegal lawlessness that's become legal. He's legalizing illegality or lawlessness, and because there's not enough Americans standing up to speak out about it, we're going to get more lawlessness in our country.
I've only got 2 minutes left in this segment, Frosty, so bear with me, and I want a short answer on this. But here's what the mayor of Huntington Park said, and her name is Karina Macias, and she said, quote, our population includes documented and undocumented immigrants, and I wanted to make sure everyone could participate. If we're going to talk about transparency, being open and having a community that's involved, then the conversation also has to include undocumented immigrants. I'm hoping other cities are looking at what we're doing here. This woman should be thrown out of office right this very minute.
Yeah, well, get ready for this also. There's another mayor in an eastern city right now, and I can't remember, it's either Boston or it's Hartford, Connecticut, or somewhere in the eastern cities, who is now ready to incorporate Sharia law into the banking systems. And Sharia law into the banking systems like the camel with his nose under the tent. Pretty soon he gets his haunches under the tent. Pretty soon he's got his entire 4 legs under the tent. And pretty soon he's in the tent. So you're going to see more breakdown of the American Constitution, and you're going to see more breakdown of our laws, and you're going to see more of these people from all these different countries start pulling and tearing at the fabric of the U.S. Constitution. That's exactly what's happening right now.
I hate to end this because it was brief as it was, but God bless you, my friend, and we'll look forward to the next time on the air so we can get a full slate. And thank you, Frosty Woolridge in Golden, Colorado. Take care and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Frosty Woolridge, kind of an abbreviated session, but we'll have a longer one next week, I hope, and we do appreciate him being on our program this morning. Hey, don't forget Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, where the fun is sold. My goodness, they have a good time over there. They've got all the watercraft, still plenty of time this summer to go enjoy the rivers, the lakes, and a big puddle of water. All the watercraft aircraft for you to have fun. And all the 4x4s, all the ATVs, everything. They got a showroom full at Let's Ride. And all the best in accessories for whatever you're doing, and a service department second to none. They know what they're doing at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. You stop over and see them today. By the way, if you're over there on Highway 24, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and so much more. They are very accessible and devoted to serving you, so please make an appointment today. These are really good folks. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. I'm really looking forward to this next interview, as we have been patiently waiting to get this gentleman on the program with us. His name is Matt Barber, and he is the editor-in-chief of barbwire.com, and I believe he's on the phone line with us right now. Good morning, Matt. How are you today?
He is not answering.
What's going on here today? Okay, I'll hold on. We're having guest problems, and hopefully we'll get him on the air momentarily. Whoa! Wheels, whatever you're doing, listen in your headsets.
You have Matt on the phone.
All right, Wheels, you've got the whole thing all... There you go. You got to turn it down. Everything was hot.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. You've got everything way up too hot. I can't hear a word.
I'll put you through.
All right, I think we've got the technical problems corrected, and I believe now, after having my headsets blown off into next week, we have Mr. Matt Barber with us, and he's the editor-in-chief of barbwire.com. Matt, good morning to you. How are you? Wheels, are we back on the air?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right, let's say good morning one more time to Matt Barber, and he is the editor-in-chief of barbwire.com. Matt, good morning. Thank you for your patience. We had some technical problems. How are you this morning?
What's going on here?
Hang on, we'll put you back on. No, fun.
I assume
Sir, you are on.
we are back on the air. We've had some technical difficulties, and hopefully the problem is corrected. Now, Wheels, before I go any further, do you have Mr. Barber on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, let's introduce him for the fourth time this morning. Matt Barber with the editor-in-chief of barbwire.com. Matt, good morning to you, sir. I'm sorry for the technical problems. You are hopefully on the air.
Hey, I'm here, and the IT gremlins are at work, I see.
It must be part of the Supreme Court and their advocacy of gay marriage. That's why we were cut off the air, I'm sure.
It's the black helicopters. I agree 100%, Zeb.
You know, Matt, I've wanted to have you on this program for a long time because I know that your thoughts and mine run down the same channel, and I'm very concerned as to what's going to happen in this country from now until whenever because of the ruling of the Supreme Court changing and absolutely adopting a new marriage philosophy that I think is going to hurt churches. I think it's going to hurt Christians in general, and especially a lot of schools and universities. Bring us up to speed on what you have written about and your thoughts.
Well, sure. Just first of all, generally speaking, there's no question that Obergefell v. Hodges will indeed and has indeed pitted the government directly against the free exercise of religion, which I have been warning for years that this was the agenda. This was never about so-called marriage equality, and as I often say, this is not about two homosexual men wanting to have the white picket fence. This is about the homosexual activists wanting to burn down the white picket fence. First of all, the goal was to undermine and water down the institution of marriage by demanding a counterfeit, by demanding the deconstruction and redefinition of the institution of marriage into oblivion. And secondly, the whole goal here was to get the official government sanction of homosexual behavior and the homosexual lifestyle, which would necessarily push to the fringes and make Christians in the biblical view of sexual morality and certainly the age-old, millennia-old definition of marriage as between a man and a woman would somehow now pit that against the government. So these 5 black-robed autocrats on the United States Supreme Court have defied reality, have presumed to redefine that which cannot be redefined, and in so doing, they have now made Christians, and certainly anyone else who recognizes the reality that marriage is and has always been between a man and a woman, it now makes us the modern-day racists. So that will play out in every facet of our society accordingly. You will have, as I point out in this article, the question I'm talking about Christian universities specifically, but my article is Christian universities. It was up on the stream.org, certainly on Barbed Wire and elsewhere, but at the stream, Christian universities, will they obey God or man is the question I pose. We know now that a Christian university, that recognizes marriage as between a man and a woman and that recognizes homosexual behavior as sin, they will be targeted by the government effectively for destruction. And no Pell Grants, no student loans, federal student loans, and that was the goal all along, was effectively the criminalization of Christianity.
You know, Matt, when you think about this thing, and I know they did not, the Supreme Court I've lost all my respect for, but this administration in general and our society in general, we have left the common sense of God's law and God's word, and we've gone to a secular society to where anything goes, anything is accepted. What about schools like Baylor University? What about schools like Liberty University? What about our own lives within our churches? I mean, we're not going to be able to survive because they're going to paint the bigot and the hate monger sign right across the front door.
Well, you know it, and well said, Zeb. This is the new pagan orthodoxy that we're looking at here. You will be made to care. Dissent is not an option, and they will use the full force of government to come down on the heads of Bible-believing Christians, not just Christian, universities like Baylor, which has preemptively capitulated here. Baylor University, regrettably, has pulled homosexual acts from its sexual honor code and has acknowledged effectively that the law now says they have to recognize so-called same-sex marriage. So Baylor is throwing in the towel. They've showed that they intend to obey man over God. I hope that other Christian universities will stand firm, and this is a true test for Christian universities, for Christian organizations, for individuals. We've seen the individual Christian business owners, the baker, like the Kleins, Sweet Cakes by Melissa, not only losing their business, but this family of 7 with 5 young children being forced to pay $135,000 to a lesbian couple for emotional distress because they said, our faith will not allow us to participate in a so-called same-sex marriage. marriage. This is the modern times that we're living in. You said, it's secular. I think it is definitely secular, but I think pagan is the better word, because what's happened is the government has adopted pagan sexuality as its choice. Anything goes, moral relativism, and that necessarily means that the biblical view of human sexuality, that it's only appropriate within the bonds of marriage between a man and a woman, now runs afoul of the law. So Christian individuals, churches, pastors, you just wait. The lawsuits are going to come in droves, and they are going to try to force pastors to do these homosexual marriages or lose their tax-exempt status. This is just the beginning.
I talked to a pastor last week that used to live and reside right here in this area, and then he moved out of the area. He's a very dear friend of mine, and he very blatantly and openly said, if it comes to somebody forcing me to conduct a gay marriage, I will leave the pulpit. I will not abide by man's law. That's the feeling of many pastors that have been in the business for a long time.
Well, and I'm glad to hear. Unfortunately, far too many pastors, kind of sat on the sidelines here and sat on the fence and said, well, it's not going to affect me yet, so they've waited too long. But I'm glad that a lot of pastors are finally starting to wake up. And, this is, as Christians, this is what we were called to. We're told that we're going to be persecuted for Christ's name's sake. We're told we're going to be hated. We're going to be called, horrible names and things. And we're blessed and to count it all joy when we go through these trials and tribulations, and so a lot of pastors are starting to wake up now and put their foot down and say, I will obey God over man, and in regards to this and other issues. It's not just the issue of homosexuality and homosexual marriage. It happens to be the head of the spear right now, but it's going to get much, much worse. There are homosexual activist groups now with tens of millions of dollars funneling into programs to try to remove all religious exemptions, effectively trying to kill the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. These are anti-Christ individuals in that they hate Christ, they hate his followers, they hate the truths found throughout the Old and New Testaments, and so they are going to do everything they can, as we're foretold in Scripture, everything they can to try to persecute Christians and shut down, silence the truth.
Matt, in your opinion, on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being not as bad as we think it is, 10 being very, very dangerous, where are we on their scale as far as trying to take over America and absolutely turn anything that's moral into a negative form of living? Where are we right now?
Well, Jeb, you were breaking up there on my end. I couldn't quite understand your last question. If you could repeat that quickly.
Basically, when you look at what's going on with the Boy Scouts, and you look at what's going on now with gay marriage, and you look at the moral compass of America, everything has been tipped upside down, and it's going to get worse. On a 1 to 10 scale, I was asking you, where are we, and is there still time to turn this bus around?
Oh, great question. Yeah, what you see with the Boy Scouts, you see with the institution of marriage, you see with the military, that they find all of these noble, institutions that have transcended, their policies have transcended time and have been rooted in biblical truth, and like a horde of locusts, the left swoops in and destroys and attacks all that is noble and good. And so I think on a scale from 1 to 10, we're at an 8 right now. We're in deep, deep trouble as a nation, and we're so far gone that a political fix is not the solution. At this point in time, we're going to have a spiritual fix. We're going to have biblical revival here in the United States, and unfortunately, things may have to get a whole lot worse before they get better.
But Matt, when you talk about a biblical revival, I have made it a point on my program that I will end my career and I will end my talk show on the media if I'm forced by the government to adopt their standards. I will walk away. I will not abide by that. How are we going to force this issue? How are we going to try to turn things around? Where do we get the momentum to try to make things right?
There is strength in numbers, and it's going to take a revolution, not necessarily an armed revolution, but a revolution of ideas. And I would suggest to you, Jeb, and I've said with county clerks and business owners and other individuals, people like Catholic Charities in Massachusetts that was told you either you do homosexual adoptions or we're going to shut you down. Well, they shut down preemptively. I would suggest you not shut down. Don't shut down. Defy. Engage in civil disobedience. Say, no, I'm not going to adopt your standards. I'm going to keep speaking the truth over the airwaves. And if you want to come get me, and we'll do it in the open for all to see. And if enough people do that, that's what led to the civil rights movement in the 1960s, was the persecution of people who were standing for freedom and civil rights. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Religious liberty, the attacks on religious liberty, the attacks on free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of association, the attack on the First Amendment. So the only way to stand up against it is to obey God, disobey man where man's laws are in violation of God's laws, and stand firm for truth, and do so boldly and courageously, and then let things fall where they may.
Matt, it's not a part of our subject matter that we were going to discuss this morning, but I've got to ask you, because you're very knowledgeable on all aspects of this story, and the Boy Scouts, what I consider to be one of the last bastions of morality, now upside down with the acceptance of not only gays in the Boy Scouts, but also gay leadership. What do we do? I'm in favor of not funding or doing anything to help the Boy Scouts. I feel bad for the Scouts that are going to be hurt in the meantime, but I urge all churches to not advocate a Boy Scout group in their church.
Absolutely, 100%. This puts children at risk. We know that the studies show exponentially that men who engage in sex with men are at a much higher risk of sexually abusing young boys. The Sexual Archives, or the Archives of Sexual Behavior, a nonpartisan, liberal, in fact, publication, peer-reviewed studies. I would pull my kids out. There's an alternative now, a moral, biblically-based Christian alternative called Trail Life USA. I encourage people to check it out. It's growing in leaps and bounds because of the Boy Scouts' total capitulation on this issue and turning over to the dark side, if you will. TrailLifeUSA.com or .org, Trail Life USA. I highly recommend. And they accept current rankings in the Boy Scouts. You can transfer directly over laterally into Trail Life USA. Great program. I agree with you 100%.
Matt, what about political leadership, though? We just really don't have anybody with a moral compass that'll speak out. Now, I'll admit, Mike Huckabee has spoken out, and he has shown a moral compass for the right. But others, including even the leader right now, Donald Trump, they haven't touched this subject whatsoever. What are your thoughts about politics going into the next election?
It's cowardly, and people like Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, you mentioned, they're just a handful that are willing to stand up and speak truth on this issue, and it's because the secular left has so effectively marginalized and smeared anybody who embraces biblical truth on sex and sexuality. You're called a bigot, a hater, a homophobe, and it takes a lot of courage to swim upstream against that, to be called those names, and they know effectively that shuts people down. That's what propaganda does, and the secular left is very effective at it. We need to find people with skin thick enough that are resolved in their and have the courage of their convictions to speak truth on this, no matter what. People recognize those individuals as statesmen, and we need statesmen now more than ever.
I really want to thank you for taking the time to be on my program this morning, Matt, and I apologize for some of the technical difficulties trying to get you on the air this morning. We've overcome those. Your message was really poignant. I appreciate it. The editor-in-chief of barbedwire.com, Matt Barber, please come back in the future. I'd love to have you back on my program.
Thanks for your time, and love to join you again anytime, Zeb.
All right, thank you very much. Very interesting individual, and is he right on the money. There is a great, great movement right now, and I use the word great in a negative sense. that our First Amendment rights are shot. They're gone. The establishment of gay marriage and the newfangled federal right, as Matt writes about in his column, is going to absolutely turn upside down morals in this country, and we're seeing a disaster. We're seeing a complete disaster where if you don't go along with the government Gestapo in their thoughts about how they want us to live, you're going to be labeled a bigot and a hate monger. And the left is oh so good at putting labels on people and destroying them. And that's what's happening unless you and you and you out there and myself, we all join together and fight back. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Jeb, I think the greatest problem we've got now, we're looking at conquest by means of overpopulation. We have to stop the immigration problem here.
I'm not going to argue that. I think there should be a quota system. I was absolutely in agreement with Frosty Woldridge when he said that a couple of months ago. I think we've got to be much more cautious of who we're letting in, what they are, who they are, what they were, what they represented in their former country. I think you're 100% right that we've got to start looking at the numbers, and we've got to start taking care of us first.
Town hall meetings, I think that's the only way. Get lots of people together.
I agree with you, Tony, but also what Matt Barber just said a moment ago is really true. We've got to verbally stand up and be counted, and we've got to show in numbers that we're not going to take this garbage and this filth anymore.
No, he's absolutely right.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
I tell you what, I'm going to have Matt back in the future. I'm going to save his name and number, and we're going to have him back on future broadcasts. And right now, without further ado, it's time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you this hour by Duck Uglies at 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Have you been there? Raise your hands. I want to count them. Well, I'll tell you what. They have delicious meals and great entertainment. And on Friday nights, they've got that ribeye steak special with the shrimp and the baked potato and the Texas toast. Saturday nights, they got those delicious, mouth-watering ribs. Oh, along with all the other menu choices at Duck Uglies. 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in today. Right now, here's the weather. I'll be right back.
Here is your weather forecast for the 4th day of August. Mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be nice, slightly breezy. Winds out of the south, right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Winds remaining about steady out of the southwest, 15 miles an hour. High of 81 with an overnight low of 52. As we move on through the work week on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. High of 85. Pretty much the same for Friday. Saturday, cooling off to mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zebedee.
I appreciate that. Thank you much. It sounds good outside, and it sounds good inside, too, at Duck Uglies. Meals that are fantastic and great entertainment. At Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see them today. All right, it's time for you to give me a call. Do you feel... Here's a question for you to answer, and we'll take the rest of this segment, this half hour, and talk about this. Do you feel that America is absolutely, I'm going to use blunt terms right here, going to hell? Do you feel that we are? Or do you think that, oh, well, these changes that are happening, well, it's just modern times. It's just part of a progressive society. Do you go along with this garbage that's going on right now? Or do you feel like I do? We are, and again, I'll use the words the way I feel, going to hell. What are your thoughts? Give me a call quickly. We'll take a little survey on that. I personally feel that we can turn this thing around. We can turn this around if good people speak up, if good people get involved, if good people say, no, you're not going to impose that filth and that sleaze on me and my family or my child at school. But we've got to speak up, and we've got to stand up. Give me your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you that the Cassia County Fair is going to be August 17th through the 22nd. Oh, my. All the carnival rides, all the rodeo, all the cotton candy, all over Dad's seats in the pickup on the way home. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. And don't forget, they're going to have the Cassia County Concert, and that's going to be on Saturday, August 15th with Dan and Shay. Look out, Dan Smyers and Shay Mooney, collectively known as Dan and Shay. Pretty doggone good music. You're going to enjoy it. Don't forget, tickets are $15 and $20. Call for your tickets today for the Cassia County Fair concert coming up on Saturday, August 15th. And your Cassia County Fair, August 17th through the 22nd. All right, give me a call quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Do you feel that this great country, America, has denounced and renounced God's Word and our Christian ethics and the Ten Commandments? And now we're being subjected to absolutely a filthy movement in this country to do away with Christianity, do away with any morality. I do. I'll come right out and say it. And I meant what I said when I was talking to Matt Barber, that if they come to me as a talk show host and say, well, you've got to temper your remarks. You can't say this about the gays, the lesbians, and transgenders. Why, we'll get you. Come on, bring it on. I will pull the plug myself. I will reach over and pull the plug, call Mr. Kim Lee and say, adios, Kim. I'm not going to put up with going along with or abiding by any laws or rules or regulations that make me go against my Christian faith. And it's coming to that for you in the workplace and me in what I do. Don't minimize it, because it is happening. Give me a call quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I am waiting again for your call, I quickly want to also tell you about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Great eating every day with the specials and all the menu choices. Don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley. What do they got today? Well, they have a beef stir fry served over white rice with super salad. Oh, it's good. The people are good. The environment's fun to look at all the sports memorabilia. The Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeff. Never ceases to amaze me how people seem to think. Like, you're talking about gay and lesbians and transgender and a Christian, but yet they're pro-Islamic extremists, and Muslim way of life.
Yeah.
They don't understand, or they don't care, or they don't do the research to know that in that type of culture they kill like gay people.
You know, the whole thing that's going on in this country, and I understand that they have a right to their free speech also, but what I'm seeing is a great big huge dark shadow coming into our country that says we're going to get rid of Christians, we're going to use this, we're going to use that, we're going to use maybe the Muslims coming in, we're going to use other factors, we're going to go to the Boy Scouts, we're going to upturn or turn over everything they stand for, we're going to go to the churches. I am seeing this huge dark cloud permeate itself over America, and it's vile, it's filthy, and it's going to be the downfall of all of us.
I don't have any disagreements there. It's very pitiful and sad. It really is.
It is, and I will never
fight and keep like you're saying, keep your moral compass pointed north.
There you go.
Yeah, and do what's right.
There you go. Always do what's right. Always do what's moral. And the best way to do that is follow a guidebook that we can all easily obtain, at least now today, and that's the Bible. Riley, thank you for your call.
You have a good day, sir.
All right, sir. God bless. I tell you what, it's going to get a lot. I'm not trying to be negative. I know I'm going to get a bunch of emails, and I know I'm going to get a bunch of calls on my cell phone that I readily give out because I know the Democrats and the left won't call. They haven't got the guts. 312-2976. But I know I'm going to get calls, and I know people are going to say, oh, don't sound so negative. Well, you have to. Our society is at stake. Our kids are at stake. Our grandkids are at stake. Our belief system in this country is at stake. Get your head out from underneath a rock and look around. I'll be back in about 6 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Don't you go away. Oh my, hour number 3, how time does fly when you're having fun. And good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. You give them a call, get on the route service, 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything, and I mean everything, for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. You know, I also want to say, before we get started here this morning, a big thank you to another couple of our sponsors that mean so much to us, and that's, of course, our sponsors of I'm really discombobulated this morning. Ken's laughing at me. Cassia County School Days, and our sponsors are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Everything for the family. This is really a wonderful time of the year to stock up, you know, for the children's clothing, and we got to think about back to school right now, too. And they've got all the kids' clothing and all the games if you're going on a late summer road trip to keep the kids occupied in the car. All of this and much, much more at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Also, our thanks go out to the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Carpal tunnel syndrome, arthroscopic knee surgery, colonoscopies performed by highly qualified doctors and saving you money at the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley, along with A Child's World, bringing you on Thursdays, school days in Cassia County. Right now, I am very honored to say that it's time for Dr. History, and he's here in our studio, and he's brought to you by Minnecasia Sales, Zach and the rest of the crew at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. All your lumber, all your windows with the Western windows, Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels, everything at Minnecasia Sales. You stop in and see them today. And now, without further ado, here he is, the one, the only Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
I'm great. It's a nice day out there, sunny. Grain's getting harvested. Crops are looking good.
You know, I got to ask you about this because you're an old farm boy, and you know this whole year is just going like a NASCAR race, whoop, and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the harvest has gotten here sooner, but the crops are looking great.
They are.
Farmers should do good this year.
Did you see the size of the corn? I mean, man, you're talking some 10, 11-foot tall pieces of corn.
Yeah, it's been a great year for the farmers.
Yeah.
Yep.
You had some homework assignment from last week, did you not?
I did, and I tried, and I failed. So
that's the American way.
Give me a big F on that because I couldn't find what I wanted to find. I looked.
Really? So the names of the tribes we're still not sure of.
Yeah, I just couldn't find enough about them to make a show out of it. But I'm going to try again.
Okay.
See what I can find.
All right. Now, what is the topic for discussion this morning?
I'm going to talk to you about a guy that I'll bet you've never heard of. California Joe.
No.
Okay. Well, it's not so much what he did. Well, it is what he did, but also some of the people that he came in contact with.
Really?
Some very famous people.
You mean like, Nancy Pelosi and others?
Yeah, right. No. These are way back, a long time ago. Okay. So there were at least 2 men that were called California Joe. One was born in 1820. He died in 1875. But the other California Joe led a far more exciting life. His real name was Moses Embry Milner.
Moses Embry
Milner.
It's easier to say California Joe.
It is. But I'll refer to him as Milner until we start calling him California Joe.
Okay.
So he was born in 1829 in Kentucky, and he headed west in 1843 at the age of 14. And in St. Louis, he joined a party of about a dozen hunters and trappers. He spent the winter, again, 14 years old, learning to hunt, trap, and survive on the plains along the North Platte River. And this was about 3 years after the mountain man era had kind of ended, because the beaver supply was, pretty well gone.
Would you agree with me that kids that age then were almost like 26-year-olds now?
Oh, yeah. The maturity and how to survive.
The responsibility.
Yeah. So, it was also a year when a large number of the immigrants were starting to head west on the old Oregon Trail. Well, in the spring of 1843, Milner and his party took their pelts to Fort Laramie in modern-day Wyoming to sell them. And it was then that Milner joined a larger party of about 25 trappers led by a guy by the name of Jim Baker. Now, this guy was a veteran mountain man, and they were heading into the Yellowstone region. Well, when the group reached the Powder River, they discovered a camp of hostile Blackfeet Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Baker, realizing that his group was far outnumbered, decided that a surprise attack was the best way to go. So, leaving 2 men to watch the packs and supplies, Baker led the others, including Milner, down a small canyon toward the camp. Now, Baker, Milner, and the rest took the Indians by complete surprise. They charged. Baker's men chased the Indians, and when someone spotted an Indian that was on some high ground in the far distance, several trappers shot, but they didn't get anywhere. Milner, he laid down, rested his rifle on a boulder, took a shot, and hit the Indian.
Mm-hmm.
They estimated it was at least 400 yards.
I can't see 400 yards.
I don't hit my golf ball that far, so.
Now, come on. Could you ever hit a golf ball that far? Come on, Tiger. What's the matter with you?
Maybe half that.
Okay.
Anyway, they were okay. Only one trapper was wounded, and everything was okay.
All right.
So later, the trappers returned to Fort Laramie, where Milner made his headquarters for the next 3 years. Now, he and 5 other trappers then decided to go west to Fort Bridger, located on the Black Fork on the Green River in what is now what we know as southwestern Wyoming. Well, the trading post had been built by, of course, Jim Bridger in 1841, and he sold supplies and offered blacksmith repairs to the immigrants and traded with the Indians. But Bridger gave Milner a job herding livestock. Now, each morning he drove the horses and the mules out to a grazing area, checked them several times during the day, and returned them to the corral at Fort Bridger each night. Well, one day Milner discovered 5 horses had been stolen. He took off, headed in to inform Bridger, who sounded the alarm. Okay, so Bridger and 20 of his men, including Milner, caught up with a party of about 10 Indians with the horses. They had the stolen horses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a running fight lasted for some time, but the horses were recovered. One of Bridger's men was killed and another wounded, but they got the horses back.
Mm-hmm.
And when everybody returned to Fort Bridger, he set out a jug of whiskey to thank his men. And we'll get into a little of that later here.
What, the whiskey or the story?
The whiskey.
I see.
They come together.
I see.
So, 1846, Milner left Fort Bridger with a party of trappers bound for Fort Laramie. Well, they were caught in a blizzard. 3 of the trappers and all of the pack horses died from the cold.
Wow.
But Milner and 8 of the men survived, and eventually they reached Fort Laramie. Well, when they got there, the government had declared war against Mexico. So Milner joined the army as a teamster. He headed west. He got out into to Bent's Fort and more than 500 miles west of Fort Laramie. And anyway, one day Milner and 3 other civilians employed by the military left to go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about noon they stopped for water at a ranch, only to be fired upon by a Mexican rifleman.
Really?
Now, it was an apparent trap, and when the fighting ended, the several Mexicans were dead. Milner and the other men rounded up 25 horses and headed back to Santa Fe.
I'm getting a picture in my mind's eye that one did not want to travel with Milner. Everybody was shooting at him all the time.
This was an interesting character.
Yeah.
Let me tell you who else he was hooked in with.
Oh, my.
Well, Colonel Alexander Donovan heard of his exploits. He called them, these guys in and congratulated them. Donovan was impressed with young Milner and appointed needed him as a guide. So Milner went with Doniphan's expedition as it went down and invaded Mexico.
All I can say is don't go!
Don't go with him. But anyway, later he returned to the United States, and in the spring of 1848, Milner said goodbye to his parents he was visiting and returned to St. Louis, and there he joined with a party of men setting out to trap along the North Platte River.
Oh, my.
They went to an island called Brady Island, and it's located on the Platte River about 23 miles east of North Platte. Now, you're sort of familiar with that area.
Yeah, but I honestly am not familiar with an island in the North Platte River.
Well, they built a cabin, and tradition says that the island was named for a trapper named Brady who was murdered there by his French companion when they got into a little argument.
Everybody's shooting everybody else.
Oh, we're not done.
I tell you what, now's a great place for me to do a commercial.
This is a good stop.
While we're still all alive. Don't travel with Mr. Milner. Anyway, Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport with Zach and the rest of the crew and the Western Windows. Now is the time to replace and upgrade your windows. Save on your heating and cooling bills. I'll tell you what, they've got the great Western Windows. Let Zach and the crew help you. Along with, if you're in the farming and ranching business, you need Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels. They've got them all. Also, great carpet. You promised your wife. Now go ahead and take care of the new carpet for the den. Oh, it's all there at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Number to call, 878-2091, Minnecasia Sales. And now back to the complete, destruction of anybody that travels with Mr. Milner.
You'll see.
Okay.
Well, they had this cabin as headquarters, and they traded with the Indians along the Platte, and as well as other streams. And Milner and the other men reportedly fought Sioux Indians and even hunted buffalo. And the Indians actually were quite impressed with their ability to kill buffalo with their rifles. But anyway, by the fall of 1848, Milner was headed back to St. Louis to sell his pelts and to visit his parents. While he was there, he met a sweet young lady by the name of Nancy Watts.
Uh-oh. Love is in the air.
It was in the air.
Don't date him, Nancy!
Don't do it. Well, the following spring, he was 25, she was 14. They were married.
25 and 14?
But they did that. You know, a lot of the gals married 14, 15, 16.
Wow.
That was not unusual.
Okay.
So anyway, they set out for the gold fields of California. Well, they got there safely, and Milner left his wife in Sacramento while he went to the gold fields. He found considerable gold and quit prospecting in 1852. He then took his wife to Oregon, where they acquired 220 acres of land, built him a nice cabin, had a nice ranch near Corvallis, and she actually that's where she gave birth to the first of 4 sons. Had 4 kids. But Milner owned a livery stable there. He operated a pack train business. He did quite well, but he still liked to leave. He still liked to go out, wandering.
He had a wandering eye.
A wandering body, too.
Yeah.
So anyway, he frequently left his wife and family, and when gold strikes occurred on the Salmon River and around Bannock in Montana, he followed. It was near Bannock that he fought 3 claim jumpers.
Oh, here we go again.
Killing one, and wounding another. And it was at Virginia City, Montana, that Milner gained the nickname California Joe.
Really?
So that's where I'm going to refer to him now. Because he didn't give anybody his real name, so they just called him California Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought they were seeking revenge for the dead claim jumpers. Now, he liked the nickname. He kept his real name kind of a secret. But when he killed another man...
Holy smokes, this guy is absolutely the best thing that ever happened to a funeral parlor.
Well, he killed a man for kicking a dog in Virginia City.
Really?
Now, the vigilantes didn't like that. They ran him out of town.
I see.
Okay, so California Joe returned to Oregon to see his wife and family, look after business, but he never stayed long. He wandered across a lot of the West. In 1864, he was with Kit Carson in the Battle of Adobe Walls.
Why do I
Texas.
think this isn't going to go well?
No, Kit was okay.
Okay.
So then by the late 1860s, he was working as a scout for the U.S. Army in Kansas. And during this time, he apparently met and became friends with William F. Buffalo Bill Cody.
Yeah, but wait a minute. His wife and his kids are still out in California.
Out in Oregon.
Oh, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's met Kit Carson, General Doniphan, and now Buffalo Bill. And that's not all.
And he ain't been home.
He's not done yet. Now, 1867, he met Wild Bill Hickok for the first time.
Yeah.
And probably in Kansas, the two men actually became good friends and later were seen together on a lot of occasions. And then he met good old Lieutenant Colonel George Custer.
This is a mess.
And Custer liked Joe. He did. He liked...
You don't want to like this guy.
You don't want to not like him. So, 1868, Custer actually appointed California Joe Chief of Scouts.
There's the problem.
Well, let me continue. But within hours, he heard that Joe was drunk as a skunk and demoted him. Well, the following year, California Joe guided General Philip Sheridan, another famous name.
Yeah.
Now, Sheridan wrote in his memoirs, and I'm going to read this because he just tells it so well. He says, General Sherman said, "I was ready to return immediately to Camp Sill, but my departure was delayed by California Joe. Notwithstanding that it was against a lot of drink, he had gotten gloriously tipsy. Tipsy. I put off starting till the next day, by which time it was thought he would sober up. But I might just as well have gone at first, for at the end of 24 hours, the incorrigible old rascal was still dead drunk."
Dead drunk. How old was he while he was doing all this stuff?
Let's see. He's got to be into his 20s by now. Or later.
Later 20s, yeah.
Maybe 30s.
The guy led a lot of living in a short time.
He did. You know, in spite of his drinking problems, Sheridan liked California Joe and described him as an invaluable guide and Indian fighter. So California Joe remained friends with Sheridan and Custer, and in the spring of 1870, California Joe went to Colorado. Prospected for gold. About 2 years later, there was a new strike in Nevada, so he headed that direction. At Salt Lake City, he bought 1,200 cattle, hired some cowboys, drove the cattle into Nevada, down by P. Oaks. You know where that's at?
Yeah, I do.
And they established a ranch, and they supplied cattle to the hungry miners.
My goodness.
Now,
and the guy still hasn't hit 30?
I'm guessing. I'd have to do the math.
Okay, all right.
Some of the newspaper guys would try to interview him, and he told one of the newspaper guys that he'd found a skeleton head of what he called a camel sea.
Okay. A camel.
Camel sea. And he told this guy that it was a cross between a bull elk and a camel. And the guy bought it.
He bought it.
He wrote it up in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a bull elk skull. Was all it was.
I see.
All right. Anyway, when California Joe learned that Custer and his command died in the Battle of the Little Bighorn, he supposedly said, "If I had waited at Fort Lincoln for Custer to return and gone with him as chief scout, I don't think such a thing would have happened."
Yeah, but he was drunk.
Well, but he was still a good guide. He must have thought a lot of himself to think he could have stopped the battle.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, a few weeks after the Custer battle, California Joe was in Deadwood, where he saw his old friend, Wild Bill Hickok. They talked a while, and California Joe then told Hickok he was going to Crook County and invited him to go along. Well, Hickok, of course, he declined, and while California Joe was away, Hickok was shot and killed by Jack McCall playing cards in the Deadwood Saloon.
Aces and eights.
Yeah. A week before he was killed, Hickok was heard to remark to a friend, "I have two trusty friends. One is my six-shooter, and the other, California Joe."
Oh, my goodness.
So, anyway, okay. Now,
did he ever go home to see his wife?
Yeah, they occasionally.
Yeah, like every 15 years.
Well, he wandered. I got a picture I'll show you here in a minute of what this guy looks like.
I bet he's a wild-eyed guy.
He is.
Okay.
Well, anyway, California Joe headed off into Nebraska, and he met an old enemy by the name of Tom Newcomb.
Okay, old enemy.
Okay.
Now, somebody's going to get hurt here, I know.
You're dead right, and I mean dead.
Okay.
Newcomb threatened to shoot California Joe.
Yeah.
But California called out to him and said, "Drop your gun, Tom, line up here and let's have a drink," which obviously California Joe was good at.
He was good at that.
And Newcomb did, and the crisis kind of passed. And
I see.
About an hour later, they heard a shot outside near a corral. Everybody ran out, and they found California Joe on his face, dead, shot in the back. Newcomb was arrested, but released.
Really?
California Joe was buried at Fort McPherson National Cemetery east of North Platte, Nebraska.
Well, now, he never did get home to see his wife.
Well, he did occasionally. Let's see, 1829, he was born.
Yeah.
And this is 1876, so that's about 38, 37.
Holy cow, oh my God. Well, he was an old guy when he died, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so he'd been around, but the guys he hung around with, Custer, Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill.
Now, how much of this can be verified with factual writing and statements from the Old West?
It's right here in this book.
I honestly, when you gave the guy's last name and you said Milner, I thought you were going to be talking about the Milner and the Milner Dam.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any connection.
I see.
I really don't. But Moses Embry Milner was his name.
Okay.
Born in Kentucky.
Old Moses.
Old Moses.
He knew how to part the water.
Yeah, but he was a good scout. I mean, these guys all liked him.
What do you mean good scout? He couldn't see the end of his horse because he was drunk.
Well, hopefully after a few days on the trail, he sobered up.
He's the only scout that got on backwards.
But I mean, it'd be interesting to know where he had 4 sons.
Yeah, what happened to them?
Yeah, I'm sure that there are relatives out there.
See, now you got homework for next week, too.
Yeah,
What happened to the Milner family?
Yeah. I mean, maybe
Are
they
they
did
still up there?
Maybe they did come down this way.
Maybe.
I mean, Milner Dam, I don't know where that was, who that name was named after. I'd have to check
We'll have to check on that because maybe one of the sons really, you said that was back in what, 1870?
Yeah, 1873.
73?
That's when he died.
Okay.
No, later than that.
All right.
Yeah.
He died in 1876, you
76,
said.
1876, yeah.
So maybe one of the boys did come down this way.
Sure. I mean, it could have very well got here in the early 1900s.
Holy smokes. Everywhere he went, death and destruction and mayhem kind of followed him.
Well, you wouldn't want to kick a dog and have him see you kick a dog.
Really?
Because he killed people for kicking a dog.
Now, when you think about it, in the guns of the Old West, the 45s, the 44s, and all the rifles and everything, have you ever shot one of those old-time pistols?
I never have.
I have.
Yeah.
You don't hold it straight out in front of you. And this deal about no recoil, I ended up wearing the part of that 44 I shot right in my forehead one time.
Oh.
Man, this deal about holding it out and cocking it real easy and shoot,
doesn't work that way.
No.
Well, I love seeing in Cabela's, they have a lot of those old guns.
Yeah.
And up in Cody, Wyoming.
Yep.
Have you been there to that museum?
Been to that one, and then also the one that you really would enjoy with the old guns is Dodge City, Kansas.
Oh, yeah. The Buffalo Bill Museum, they must have thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
In fact, they've got Jeremiah Johnson or John Johnson, his knife and gun.
Really?
On display up there.
And they verified it was his?
He
took it in there himself, pawned it.
He pawned it.
Yeah, pawned it.
I think he's buried up there, too, actually.
Dodge City, Kansas really has some interesting gun displays.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to go there.
Very interesting, yeah. That's the story about Mr. Milner, or California Joe.
Plainsman, scout, businessman, killer of many people. and that's just the ones we know about.
He led a lot of people to their demise.
He did. Like you said, he was a friend of the Berrien guys.
Hey, by the way, let's put the question out and have somebody else help solve it for us.
Okay.
Where did the various Indian tribes get their names?
Yeah,
let's find that out.
Like I said, I looked that up on the internet, but I couldn't find a source that really explained it.
Like the Mescalero Apaches and the Shoshones and the Blackfeet, and a lot of people might say, well, maybe they walked on bare feet and they got black feet, and they said Blackfeet Indian. I don't know.
And then the Sioux, you have the Oglala Sioux and I can't remember the other.
There's quite a few different
tribes of the Sioux.
Tribes of the Sioux, yeah.
I'll try to do a little more research on that.
Yeah. Anyhow, that was good. Now, what are we going to talk about next week?
That's a great question. Oh, I got to show you a picture.
Oh, yeah. Let me see that picture.
There's California Joe.
Oh, he is not the person I thought he would look like.
I mean, look at that thick beard and that thick hair.
Actually, the way baseball players are wearing all these silly beards nowadays, he looks just like he pitched for the Oakland A's.
Well, he must have been somewhat athletic.
Oh, okay.
And got a good shot.
Yeah, really. I found that out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. History. Brought to everybody by Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. You get a hold of old Zach and the rest of the crew today, 878-2091. Every Tuesday, bringing you Dr. History. Doc, see you next week.
All right. You have a good day.
All right. Take care. We'll send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, Now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back to our program last half hour. And we also want to acknowledge some of our great Cassia County Fair and Rodeo merchants that are helping you say, come on, let's go to the Cassia County Fair. Magic Valley Irrigation Supply, 44 East 500 South of Burley. Jeff and the whole crew thank all the farmers and ranchers for providing all the food that we have to eat in this great country of America, and they've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978 at Magic Valley Irrigation Supply. AMI 1719 Overland and Burley. The number to call, 678-4632. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door and go nuts over their bolts. I'll tell you, they've got it all for you at AMI. And last but not least, Gentle Ben and the crew at Burley Glass, 1029 Overland and Burley. And get ready for the snow to fly and it gets cold and your house is drafty. Well, they can help. They've got all the garage doors and openers and the windows and the door frames and all the accessories. You give them a call today, 678-1459, Burley Glass. All of those great folks are reminding you to be a part of the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo for this year, August 17th through the 22nd. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we get a chance to visit with a great young man that really knows the cattle business and is with the Idaho Cattle Association, Wyatt Prescott. Good morning, Wyatt. How are you?
Excellent, Zeb. How are you?
Not too bad. Now, give us your official title. I'm sure you can read it off to us in about 10 seconds or left. All you do at the ICA, the Idaho Cattle Association.
Yeah, so I'm the chief bottle washer and cook, but I everything bad that happens with the industry, that's my role. We work on mainly political issues, public policy, running legislation, and but more and more we're getting involved more and more in litigation to protect the industry because it's a needed asset. We focus primarily on state legislative issues and trying to shape a lot more national issues, especially as we look at some of these issues on our public lands, such as sage grouse.
I want to talk about some of those issues this morning, but I also want to go back in a little bit of time and go to the convention for the 100 years, 1915 to 2015. How was it, and was it a great success for the association?
Yeah, it was great. Great celebration, had a great showing. We actually even did a cattle drive down Chinden in Boise here, and that went over like a house of fire. I couldn't believe over 5,000 people came out and lined the streets just to watch some cows go by. So it was a great event, a great celebration, an opportunity where we could mix with the public at large a little bit, and we're really happy to have had such a successful event to celebrate our 100 years of feeding the future.
I've got to ask you, though, Wyatt, I've known Butch Otter for a long, long time, almost about 40 years, and I've roped with him on occasion, and he does things at a fourth gear and overdrive. I'm a little surprised that we didn't have cattle from Chinden Boulevard all the way up to Marsing.
Yeah, no, I'm a little surprised, too. We had to double our liability policy just to make sure that when that happened, we didn't have anything go wrong.
Well, all kidding aside, it was a great event, and I salute you for a fantastic convention, and I really hope that the folks that live within the cities and those that live out in the country on maybe an acre parcel, some of them tried to attend and really regain a respect for the cattle industry and what it does here for the state of Idaho.
Yeah, I agree, and that's exactly what was part of our goal in getting behind it. We're a $2.5 billion industry in farm gate cash receipts here in the state of Idaho, and that's before any kind of an economic multiplier, which is said to be around 7. So obviously a very large industry for the state of Idaho. We give a lot back to the state, and it's not only that, it's not the folks that are somewhat loosely connected to the cattle industry. It's all of society. Everybody that eats a hamburger I really want to make sure that they get a newfound respect for what those cattle producers go through every day to put that product on their plate, and it goes much further than that. They're wearing leather shoes or a belt, or heck, even anybody wearing makeup. I mean, you literally cannot walk through life without touching one of our products every day.
Absolutely.
And, it's upon us to make sure that those folks today, in today's day and age, realize that, and it becomes more and more apparent to them.
But we all must be cognizant of the negatives that are going on in the world, and one of the subjects I wanted to talk to you about this morning was the ruling by Judge Windmill that basically is going to hand over a lot of our privacy on our business, on our property, etc., for people to come in and possibly film something that could be distorted and hurt the animal ag industry. I'd like you to comment on that a little bit.
Yeah, so that was a very disappointing ruling by Judge Windmill, and it's not over, though. We're going to visit with the state this week, try and discuss options in appealing that decision. Moreover, look at legislative options to kind of go around it. But yeah, you're exactly right. Basically, those groups made that into being what they called an ag-gag issue, which was not the case at all. It was simply a private property rights issue. Basically, the law in itself, what it did is it made it illegal for anyone to come on your operation under false pretenses.
Mm-hmm.
That should not only be applied to agriculture, that should be applied to everything, to all of business. And basically this ruling just turned that all around and gave them a license to come onto your property under false pretenses and take footage with the intent to use it maliciously towards you and your business operation. Very disappointing ruling yesterday out of Windmill, but we're committed. We filed a brief on behalf of the state of Idaho in that case, and we're going to discuss with the state's legal team about appealing that decision, or what are other options and avenues we can take to make sure that decision does not stand.
You know, Wyatt, my concern is, I don't care if you're having a couple of friends over to team rope, I don't care if you're getting ready for the fair and you're fitting and showing of your steer, it doesn't make any difference. What this does is absolutely trash private property rights. If people are allowed to come onto your property anytime they want to, there is no such thing as private property rights, and I absolutely will do all I can to fight this.
Yep, no, you're exactly right. And you get down to the true root of it. We absolutely have nothing to hide in agriculture, but the problem is the way that activist groups utilize the footage. They cut and paste and edit, and their agenda. Let's not mix words here. Their agenda is to abolish animal agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking specifically to Mercy for Animals, who was a plaintiff in this case. And Windmill just gave them a little bit more leverage to try and do so. But we're not going to let it stand, and we'll keep fighting it. If we have to, we will run another law through the state legislature and make sure that we can protect our cattle producers out there, as well as all citizens' private property rights.
One of the other issues that I know you wrote about, and I've had many, many programs about in the last couple of months, has been the sage grouse numbers and possibly the return of the bird's population. It looks like everything's becoming much more healthier for the sage grouse, but yet there are those that want to diminish grazing, they want to stop and curtail agriculture. And what are your thoughts about what's being done with the sage grouse numbers?
So I was very pleased to see that report. Basically, a study showed that the sage grouse numbers surged in 14 and 15 over 13. In fact, and it's just these numbers are tough because they're just going out there and they're counting birds, and that has always been a problem we've had with the data they've had. But they counted 40% more birds this year than they did 2 years ago. So, 60%, 40% more last year than they did the year before, and 60% more than they did 2 years ago. So, I think what it's showing, what it's illustrating, first, I have to look at a couple things here. We haven't had a huge catastrophic wildfire season in prime core sage grouse habitat in a couple of years. I think that's probably a large driver, and as an industry, we keep contending that obviously that's the bird's number one threat. we're the only industry that can help get in front of that number one threat. We can utilize those fine fuels so those wildfires do not become catastrophic. And that's part of what we're working towards. Unfortunately, the BLM and U.S. Forest Service have issued a sage-grouse plan, their final environmental impact statement, and they've taken that grazing, only improper grazing, as a secondary threat, and they've elevated it to a primary threat in some of their management prescriptions. And this week we'll be meeting with top interior officials to try and to talk some sense into them. I don't have a lot of faith in talking sense into them, to be honest with you, but we're going to try and get it done this week, and if not, we'll be prepared to go to court and not allow that to stand. We shouldn't restrict grazing. Obviously, we're doing everything right. Another side note on that story is when the bird was listed as warranted precluded, Western Watersheds appealed that decision and asked for a full-blown listing, and the Idaho Cattle Association intervened on that lawsuit, and we won. And the reason we won, and Windmill said this in his decision, though, we'll keep it as warranted or precluded only because of all the work the cattle industry has done in conservation. We continue to do that conservation in sage-grouse habitat, and we've exhibited our appetite to making sure that bird stays healthy. And it's obvious here in these numbers how they've surged 60% in 2 years. And if they implement this plan the way the federal government wants to implement it, it's going to throw all that conservation work out the window, because they're doing a hatchet job on grazing, and it's not going to do anything for conservation. So we're going to make sure they know that message, and we're prepared to try and keep peeling back those layers.
All right. Now, I want to also mention and have you talk a little bit about an event that's going to be coming up at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, a world-class calf roping to benefit beef counts. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, so it's actually a fourth annual now, Caring Cowboys calf roping, and it's a major open calf roping that they produce there in Jerome, and all the proceeds of this calf roping go to beef counts. Our fight against industry, Idaho's beef industry's fight against industry, and what we've done is we've partnered up with Idaho Food Bank, and throughout the past several years, we've been able to give over 200,000 servings of beef to hungry Idahoans through this program, through the Idaho Cattle Association, the Idaho Beef Council, and AgriBeef, and Idaho Cattle Women Council. So that's a fun event that's going to be held August 16th at 9 a.m. at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. There's going to be some of the top talent there, calf roping and the open calf roping. There's also junior calf roping. But then, again, all proceeds will go to beef counts to help Idaho's beef industry's fight against hunger.
All right, we've got a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you know that John Marvel is retired from Western Watershed. Has it changed the identity of the organization for the worse or the better? I'll hang up.
That's a really good question. Would you care to comment on that, Wyatt?
Yeah, absolutely. Time will tell yet. My opinion on it is it's probably not going to change it, and if anything, it'll probably make the organization a little bit stronger just because they have a little bit more of a level head at the helm with Travis Bruner, their new director of Western Watersheds. The reason I say that is John was a very negative and, in my opinion, deplorable individual whose whole mission in life was to get rid of cows off the range. And I think that the organization's mission exists, but there's just a little bit more of a charismatic leader at the helm. So I don't think that their threat has weakened any at all. If anything, it might have strengthened their cause a little bit. But you know, they've been at it for a long time, and as an industry, we continue to fight, and it gets very tiresome, and folks might get tired of the continual assault by that group on Western ranching and public lands ranching. But in the large scheme of things, they haven't taken much away from our industry, and as long as we can stand together and keep fighting back and pushing against them, we're going to still be out there for another 100 years.
Well, we will do all we can to help support you right here on this program. Wyatt Prescott, thank you so much on behalf of the Idaho Cattle Association for being on our program. And by the way, we'll keep plugging the 4th annual Caring Cowboys Beef Counts Open Calf Roping that's going to be August 16th at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. And Wyatt, I'll be in touch with you in the next couple of days, and I do appreciate your time on the show this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zeb.
God bless. Take care. Very nice man right there with the Idaho Cattle Association, Wyatt Prescott, and I appreciate his time on the program here this morning. Hey, we're going to welcome some more phone calls, and I'd like to hear from you, so give us a jingle. While we're doing that, I'm going to say, hey, it's time for the weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are your hometown meat cutter, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. And they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. They guarantee everything they sell, and they've got that hot summer barbecue special. Listen to this, 50 pounds of meat for only $199. You get ribeye steaks, New York strips, sirloin tips, ground beef, beef patties, boneless pork chops, brats. The list goes on. All of this from the hot summer barbecue special from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. And now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here is your weather forecast for the 4th day of August. Mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be nice, slightly breezy. Winds out of the south. We're at around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 88 for today. Tonight, low of 60. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Winds remaining about steady out of the southwest, 15 miles an hour. High of 81 with an overnight low of 52. As we move on through the work week on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. High of 85. Pretty much the same for Friday. Saturday, cooling off to mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you very much, Gina. Well done. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one bite at a time. Thank you very much, Scarrows Meats. All right, it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Again, give me a jingle. I got some time to discuss any topic you want to get into right now. I also want to take just a moment here quickly while I wait for your call to remind you that the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo is off and running. Holy smokes, started this morning at 8:30 with a big dairy show, and they've got a goat show at 12:30 this afternoon, and then they're going to have poultry shows, and tonight they're going to have the first performance of the PRCA Rodeo, and that will be tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night. On Friday night, they're going to have a pig wrestling and tug-of-war in the rodeo arena at 7 p.m., and then on Saturday night, the big monster trucks are going to be in town right there in the rodeo arena, along with so much more of your 2015 Jerome County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, all this week at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. You know, I want to go back just for a moment and remind you that, let's see, tomorrow on the program at 10:06, we're going to have Timmy Likely on our show, and she's one of the people that has been absolutely putting this all together for the 4th annual Caring Cowboys Beef Counts Open Calf Roping and Junior Calf Roping. Some of the names of the outstanding calf ropers and PRCA contestants that are coming in, you've watched them on television at the National Finals Rodeo and other televised events. Jake Hannum, Shane Hanchey, Ryan Jarrett, Tyson Durfee, just to name a few. It's going to be an outstanding event, and it's going to be at the Jerome County Fairgrounds August 16th, and it's going to start with the open calf roping at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. They've got over $10,000 added, but at 9 o'clock in the morning that morning, they're going to have a junior calf roping with $2,000 added, so it's going to be an outstanding day of roping. If you like roping, I like roping, you're going to be there at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, and this event's going to be on August 16th, starting at 9 in the morning with the junior calf roping, and then the big open roping at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Ooh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be fun watching. All right, give us a call, please, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What did you think of Judge Windmill's ruling about people come onto your property? They can come unannounced, and they can have a camera. They can film you if you're maybe putting together a little team roping with your friends and neighbors. And they can basically distort and do anything they want with that video and possibly cost you a lot of court costs and a lot of protecting yourself. I think this is absolutely ridiculous, and I think what it is another nail in the coffin for private property rights. Many lawmakers, according to the story that was in the newspaper this morning, argued that the law was needed to protect private property owners' rights. However, Judge Windmill countered that there are already state and federal laws on the book that protect private property. What are they if somebody can come onto your property and basically film everything and try to distort it and run you out of business? This has got to be changed. And as you know, a very liberal judge, Judge Windmill, and this is very dangerous, and I would say against the law for people just to come onto your property anytime they want to. I think it's about time to say, hello there, I'd like you to meet Mr. Smith & Wesson, and they'd like you to get off our property immediately, if not sooner. What are your thoughts about this? Give us a call at 436-2244 and 1-866-927-4587. Waiting for your calls gives me a time to talk about our major sponsor, and I really am proud of them, and that's the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And as you know, they've got the best in tires. They've got every kind of tire for all your driving needs, for all your vehicles. All you have to do is just stop in and ask. They've got your size tire in stock. All you need to do is stop in. And don't forget to check out the best in brake service. I know you went up to the stop sign the other day, hit the brake, and whoo, wait a minute, it turned into a carnival ride. Well, don't let that happen. Be sure and stop in and let the professionally trained technicians at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers take care of your brakes so that when you say stop, yeah, buddy, you're going to whoa. All right, there you go. The best brake value promise, the best in shocks and struts, the best in front end alignments and batteries, all of this and the best in service at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking for tomorrow? Well, this is going to be kind of interesting, I think, because we're going to be talking in the first hour about quite a number of subjects that are pertinent for our time in the first hour open forum. Then, of course, we're going to have Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bigo on at 9:06. And then now they can investigate and peruse through your trash in the city of Seattle. And if you throw a sandwich away in the garbage, they, the city of Seattle and the trash collectors, are going to inform the city council they can arrest you for throwing food in the garbage. I'm not kidding. We're going to have attorney Ethan Blevins on our program tomorrow to talk about that. Then at 10:06, we're going to have, as I said, Timmy Likely on the air talking about the Caring Cowboys that we just mentioned a moment ago. And our 10:30 guest is a surprise. Why is it a surprise? Because I don't have a clue who's going to fill that spot that was vacated as of about 7:30 this morning. So we'll have all that and more. And also, we want to remind you again, I know I'm going to get some calls on it, that our next lunch bunch, we've had some people ask already, it is going to be on Thursday the 20th at Denny's Restaurant. Don't forget that. It is going to be at 11:30, lunch bunch at Denny's Restaurant on the 20th, so put that on your calendar. And we also want to acknowledge the fact that we're going to have a lot of gift cards and gift certificates given to us from Walmart, Smith's Food King, and Hanson Mortuary. And along with the gift cards that are given to us by Denny's, it's going to be a big, big lunch bunch for the month of August. So, until tomorrow morning at about 8:06, when we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours, we want to remind you can tune in a couple of ways. Right here on K-Bar 1230 AM or zebbell.com. Click on the audio button and you can listen on your internet anywhere, anytime. And we always want to remind you that the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Zeb at the Ranch. We'll see you tomorrow morning.